Questions for reflection. Our first reading from the book of Sirach zeroes in on the challenge and the invitation speech and its effect on relationship gives to us. How we speak, how we converse, it all points to whether our faith is genuine. Words are powerful. They can heal, they can help, they can also harm and hurt. Do we tame our tongue? In the New Testament, the letter written to the early Christian communities by the Apostle James addresses this as well in these profound and insightful words, and I quote, "The tongue is a little member and boasts of great things. How great a forest is set ablaze by a small fire, and the tongue is a fire." The apostle continues, "The tongue is an unrighteous world among our members, staining the whole body, setting on fire the cycle of nature, and set on fire by hell. For every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and sea creature can be tamed and has been tamed by humankind. But no human being can tame the tongue, a restless evil, full of deadly poison." The quote continues, "With it we bless the Lord and Father, and with it we curse men who are made in the likeness of God. From the same mouth come blessing and cursing. My brethren, this ought not to be so." Then St. James asks a vital question, similar to the one asked in the Old Testament book of Sirach. Does a spring pour forth from the same opening fresh water and brackish? Can a fig tree, my brethren, yield olives, or a grapevine figs? No more can salt water yield fresh. And that's from James chapter 3. How do we use the gift of speech? Do we watch our language? How do we guard our conversations? Do we tame our tongue? The excerpt from the Apostle Paul's first letter is the end of the powerful chapter on the resurrection of the dead, the resurrection of the body. Death was never part of God's loving plan. It was a consequence of sin. Sin separates. The first sin, the original sin, separated us from God, from one another, and from creation. It separated body from soul and spirit. It was never God's plan. And as the Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Romans, the wages of sin is death. That's Romans 6:23. But he continues, and I quote, "The gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ." And that eternal life includes the whole person, body, soul, and spirit. The redemption of the person will be complete only when Jesus Christ returns and the dead are raised. Do we believe in the resurrection of the dead? In the gospel passage from St. Luke, Jesus continues his warnings to his disciples concerning the vital role of coherence between what they say and how they act. He does this by pointing to the hypocrisy of some of the Pharisees, the religious leaders of the time. They are quick to correct the behavior of others while they are not practicing what they preach. The basic and foundational teaching the Lord gives is that we are known by the fruits we bear, and not just the words we utter. That is not to take away from the importance of the tongue, as we saw in our first reading. Rather, it's to demonstrate the fact that as followers of Jesus, we should be growing in holiness and experiencing the reintegration of what was once separated by sin through the working of His grace within us. In short, life and lip are inseparable. How are we doing?